Hello and welcome everyone to the SQ1 Champions League Summer Split week 1, day 1. The first match of the new split is going to be between Black Rose Gaming and Royal Reapers. I'm Kachka and I'm joined tonight with Varys.
Yep, I think we've got some interesting game on today because we've got the first game from Black Rose. They're joining this league completely. They've got quite a mixed up roster, some very good players on there. And we've got Royal Reapers who finished first seed last split, so I should expect a very exciting game today.
Yeah, and also something to watch is that, of course, with Black Rose Gaming being a new org in the SQ1 league, how will they compare with those old teams? Though calling Royal Reapers an old team is kind of, not always that accurate because they did change the roster. And a lot of the big narrative for this first day will be trying to set the expectations for the entire split, because both of those orgs definitely have a lot of expectations for themselves and how they want to finish, and now they will have to prove it on the Rift.
And of course, we're still in the same sort of meta. There's barely anything been changed in terms of picks. It's still flex pick meta, so it's going to be interesting to see how these drafts go today.
Alright, and talking about the flex pick meta, what kind of picks could we be really expecting? Because Silas definitely is a big one that has been seen across the globe, either say. Is there anything else, and what are we going to be really looking for in the draft phase?
I think it's the Silas, the Nico, the Aurelia. They're like the main popular ones. Akali seems to have fallen off in terms of popularity, so it's going to be one of those three picks, and you expect it to be first picked, really. If it's not banned, it'll be first picked straight away.
Alright, I guess that is a fair prediction that we could be seeing being drafted. I maybe just want to focus on what matchups are we really going to be looking at in this game 1, of course, of the split. What lanes are going to be played around mostly?
I think if you're Royal Reapers, you're going to focus the bot lane, because you've got someone in support for Black Rose who's not typically your support, which is Lizard. As we know, he plays mostly mid and top. He played a lot of top last split. So I feel like they might focus the bot lane because of that, and have Omena on a roaming mid just to head down bot lane to snowball that sort of lead.
Alright, and Palm Trevelia, the AD carry for Royal Reapers, he can play something like Illusion, something aggressive, so definitely could be seeing quite a bit of aggression down there. And Lizard, you mentioned it, he will be playing support. He mostly plays mid lane. What kind of picks do you think you could be seeing? Because of course, he doesn't have that much experience on the role compared to all the other players, so he will most likely try to pick something which he can still do well on without having to have a lot of experience on the champion.
It's hard to predict, because obviously he's a mid lane, so he might lean towards more of a mage or more of one of the classic supports like Karma, something very basic, where it's really hard to go wrong on. And it could even just be the Morgana. They could bait Tom of Finland onto a playmaking support and then just pick the Morgana. I think that's what they might aim for, because it's just very standard.
Right, and Tom of Finland, he likes to play his playmakers, so that's good that you mention it. So, of course, Morgana does rise in priority, and I'm not going to completely echo your point, so just moving on. Something that is also interesting to see is the difference between the junglers, really, because Varte, he is very much a fan of Nunu, so much so that I wouldn't be surprised to see it being banned away from him, whereas Karkle Wonderboy, he's definitely tuned in more towards those carry junglers.
I think that's something you definitely have to keep your eye on. If that Nunu gets through, Nunu is the master of lane ganking people. His lane ganks are so deadly, because by the time he's came in with a big snowball, you either have to flash, or you're going to have to pull off some good maneuver to get out of that. So I'd expect that to be banned away. If not, they might pick something like the Kindred into it to counter it.
Alright, and we are going to jump straight into the picks and bans. A lot of focus on the junglers already within those two first bans. There's Rek'Sai, Nunu, then followed by a Kennen being banned by BRG.
So the Nunu's gone already, and the Ivern, both are gone. Both of his most important junglers are gone, so it's going to be interesting to see what he's put on. And not surprised with the Silas ban either.
Yeah, Silas just a very strong flex pick. He can pretty much go to nearly any lane, and Morgana is going to be removed, so that could, yeah.
Exactly what we were saying about. So Tom wants to be on them playmakers. He's removing any attempt of that happening. And we see the hover of the Aatrox for the first pick, which is just such a strong laner right now. He's such a good lane bully, and just a very good first pick.
Black Rose Gaming do get themselves, do get their hands on that champion. However, now Rakan will be the first pick for Royal Reapers, and they're going for a very strong bot lane duo.
I'd expect that for sure. The Rakan's just such a good pick. I'd expect a severe reaction. If not, it could be the Ezreal Braum. So we've got a few things what could happen here, and we're going to Skarner.
Right, well, Varte is going to be playing that champion, which is also pretty good at setting up the ganks once you have that level 6, I think is what you are looking at as Skarner. But surprisingly, no AD carry, which now leaves Royal Reapers to maybe focus that role in the second phase of bans and try to secure that Xayah Rakan the best matchup possible.
So the Braum was a very standard pick. I expected that. I expect Royal Reapers now to ban away the Sivir, and it will leave them on a less priority AD carry, and something was not going to keep it easy. So there's the Ezreal ban. I'd still definitely expect a Sivir ban from Royal Reapers.
Yeah, that would make the most sense, unless they want to focus the other laner, but with Aatrox being the flex, it's very hard to ban away something unless you want to get rid of a very, very specific matchup. Now Jarvan is going to be the ban by Black Rose Gaming, trying to target that jungle pool, and there's the Sivir you mentioned.
Yep, very basic, and they're really targeting the jungle pools in this game, and they're trying to limit the options what they can put Caracal on. So it's going to be interesting to see what matchup we get in the jungle here.
It is a Skarner for Varte, so what will Caracal decide to go for? He does, as I mentioned, like to go for the carries, which doesn't mean he cannot play any other junglers. Of course he can, but we could see something. And we do see someone leave the lobby, so that is very curious. Client bug. All right.
So, what I'd expect right now, I think what they're going to pick next is their jungler. I think it's going to be either the Lee Sin or the Elise here. I don't expect it to really be a tank v tank, because otherwise it'll be Sejuani. But I really don't expect that from him. I think it'll be more of a playmaker like the Lee Sin or the Elise.
Alright, so assuming that there will be the Lee Sin, because you said the expectation for Caracal to play something with high early game impact, where would you really expect him to focus? Of course, the draft hasn't really been finished yet, so it might be a tough question to answer. But from all that we have seen already, what would be the lane that Royal Reapers want to play through?
I think that one's pretty obvious through the draft, because top lane is Poppy versus Aatrox. Aatrox is going to have push priority, so Aatrox is naturally going to push that lane. So if they do pick the Elise or the Lee Sin, they can punish the Aatrox early and set him behind. And when Poppy gets ahead in that matchup, it can be pretty difficult for Aatrox, especially when you cancel his dash. You can stop a lot of his combo. So that would be your main point of view for the top lane. The bot lane, I don't see much happening because I expect a very safe lane because they already have the Braum. So in terms of AD carries, they're just going to pick something super safe, choose not to fight that lane, and I think the junglers are just going to be battling around the top side of the map.
Alright, but you're mentioning some super safe AD carries, though Ezreal and Sivir are both gone, so what is really left on the table there to pick up?
It's hard to say because they could go for the Kai'Sa, but it's very risky because you're going to lose so much priority early. So maybe the Caitlyn. It's the only thing I would be leaning towards right now. You wouldn't want to pick the Lucian, although Lucian Braum is a good combo. I feel like it's very risky because if you don't get ahead, you are going to get outscaled pretty fast.
And of course, those AD carries, they do have some Lucian in their solo queue, but what you said, in this current meta, it is really, you need to get ahead and get that game done, or you will be finding yourself in a lot of trouble. And so, alright, we are getting some confirmation. Same picks, same bans until the point where the client broke. So that was the 4th pick for Royal Reapers just after the bans. And what else could we be talking about here? Mid lane is still yet to be locked for both of the teams, I believe. Although Aatrox could be put down to Nidavellir, it doesn't sound like the kind of champion he would be playing.
So the mid's really important to look at because they both have Ahri as their most played. So going on that concept, you presume they want to roam. Both mid laners want to do the same thing. So it's going to be interesting seeing what they go for.
Alright, we're just revisiting those bans, and something definitely to take away, just to echo that point, was the jungle focus. That means that both of those teams, they will be looking to utilize those members of their team to have the greatest impact possible, to gank the lanes that need to be ganked. And with Skarner being already there for Black Rose Gaming, you have that strong tool in the Impale once you hit that level 6, and we will need to see that being utilized properly if BRG want to win this game.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's going to be interesting to see how both of these junglers are going to path. It's going to be interesting to see where they start and what their focus is. I still think it's going to be around topside, because bot is going to be a really hard lane to gank.
Alright. We are just seeing the same as, of course, sorry for all the delays. We had some issues, they were now fixed, so we should be proceeding just after those bans. That was a Sivir now by Royal Reapers, just trying to restrain that AD carry pool since they've got Desire already, and it was another jungle, I believe it was Kindred, removed from Carcool Wonderboy. And now there's this pick. You mentioned something, Carry, Lee Sin or Elise. Are we going to be seeing one of those? I would really love to, personally.
And he's going for the Olaf. It's a good option. It can fight pretty well into the Skarner, but pre-6 it can be a little risky. So it's going to be interesting to see how they path. And BRG are looking for the Kai'Sa pick.
You mentioned that as one of the possibilities, and now they are having just that. McFreeze would be pretty happy probably picking this one, since falling behind in the laning phase isn't that bad, and you have that this power once you hit the 2 items. And now with the 0 being hovered, BRG are looking to go more for the late game.
I think both mid laners will be highly considering looks here, depending on what the other picks, because it can do a lot of work in this game, especially on the side of Royal Reapers if it's picked.
Ahri instead, also a possibility, a pick that Nidavellir is definitely familiar with. And now you've got the roaming mid lane. How do they want to utilize that?
I think the target for that is looking for that 4-man bot lane, because top's going to be left to it, and hovering the looks, like I said, and they'll lock it in. So this lane is a very peculiar one. All Ahri wants to do is push and roam, and Lux wants to keep Ahri in that lane by constantly pushing that wave back to her. So it's going to be interesting to see how this gets played out. And it's going to be interesting if they do get actually the 4-man off into bot lane.
Alright, so I see already that the focus is going to be set through that mid lane and the control there. However, always when you talk about the mid lane, there is the talk about the junglers that always goes in tandem. You've got the Olaf and Skarner, neither of them being super easy to gank with, at least pre-level 6. But how do you think Caracal and Varte will try to influence that mid lane to make sure that Nidavellir gets to roam, and that Omena makes sure that Nidavellir doesn't do that?
I think the both junglers are just going to look to track each other. That's the main thing what's going to happen in this game. There's going to be big priority over the scuttles on both scuttles. It's going to be interesting to see if the jungler can secure both for one team, because that's going to be the main aim, to keep mid lane safe and stop any roams from happening. And on the side of Black Rose, they want to get them so they can roam, and it's just going to be interesting to see how they play around that.
I'm just curious, because you mentioned the Aatrox into the Poppy matchups. Aatrox will be pushing, and thus he can't be punished in this top lane. But if Nidavellir roams, is top lane also a potential target? Because if you can get your Aatrox ahead, then that guy is going to rampage through the entire squad of Royal Reapers.
I think that depends entirely on how the lane matchup is going, because both players, pretty good skill. Like, they're both around the same sort of level, so it's going to be interesting to see on how the actual lane gets played first. And then if the Aatrox does start getting ahead, if he does start getting up chip damage onto Poppy, they will go for the dive on her. because it's still very easy to do, especially pre-6.
Alright guys, of course you can already see, and most of you are spamming the numbers. Vote in the chat for which team you think is going to be. It is 1 for Black Rose Gaming and 2 for the Royal Reapers. We'll just take a look at that in a second and see who is your favorite to take the opening game of this summer split for the SQ1 Champions League.
Who do you think, Kachka, has the side in this in terms of draft? Who do you think is going to push their leads better?
I'm not exactly sure who is going to push their leads better, but I definitely like the draft-wise. Black Rose Gaming have got threats in every lane if they get ahead. Of course, bot lane Kai'Sa Braum into Xayah Rakan could be a tough one to pull off, but if Kai'Sa, Ahri or Aatrox find significant leads, they should be able to run away with the game, and this is why I would give my slight edge over to them when it comes to how they are going to execute. But what about you? What do you think?
Okay, yeah, that's very interesting, because I'm on the other side of the fence. I think Royal Reapers have the better draft here, especially with the Xayah Rakan pick. I feel like if they do get that ahead, they can take over the entire game. It doesn't matter if Aatrox is ahead, because if he's James CC'd, what is he going to do? He's just going to get melted. And if they do get anti-hitting too, it's just going to make his life much more harder. So I honestly think Royal Reapers have the better draft here, but we'll have to see how they both play it out.
Alright, and I think what we just did here is it highlights the different objectives that both these teams want to go for. Whereas Royal Reapers want to definitely get their bot lane ahead. I feel like Black Rose Gaming, they could get any of their lanes ahead, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's easier to do. Just because you can play through any lane you pick, in theory, doesn't mean that it is going to be easy to execute in practice. And alright, it does seem like the viewers are also in favor of Black Rose Gaming just ever so slightly, 61% to 38.9. It is 18 votes, and it has been going for 3 minutes. We'll see if that ever swings back in the other direction.
I expect a lot of action this game. I expect a lot of fighting, especially around the mid lane. I expect a lot of scuttle fights, especially with the Olaf having Conqueror. So he'll be looking for the long trades with Skarner. And what's interesting is Aatrox has Electrocute, not Conqueror. So usually in top lane, the Aatrox players would favour Conqueror, especially into a tank. And you see the Electrocute more around the mid lane. So it's interesting to see that and how it's going to play out for that matchup.
It definitely will give more burst, but you're against a Poppy. It is a tank and you might find it difficult. Something worth mentioning, though not a real surprise, is you have the Glacial Augment on Nidalee lifts Ahri, which means that you will likely see him itemize towards those utility items and provide those big slow zones in the team fights.
The reason that's been so popular and so successful is it's just so safe. It's hard to go wrong with that build, because even if you're behind, you provide that utility for your team. You can literally send off your ghosties, and if it hits one person, you can literally change the entire game by picking them off.
Right, that is fair enough. I think we will be shortly loading into the game, not yet sure when we'll be coming in, so stick with us guys for just a few more seconds, because the first match of the next split is about to start as Royal Reapers go against Black Rose Gaming. And you mentioned it, a lot of action through the mid lane is what we will be having our eyes on.
I hope we do get a lot of action, because it is our first game back, and what a better way to start off with than an action-packed game.
And it does look like Black Rose Gaming are moving as a team to this bot side. Not sure if they want to initiate any invades, and the answer does seem to be no, as the teams just diffuse into the standard cover.
They're looking just to take away the early Spire from Skarner, which is just standard, just a bit of free gold from you. And it's going to be interesting to see how they do play random Spires, because you can't see them anymore, remember. When they're taken, they're taken. It doesn't show on the map anymore.
And that just makes you, that just makes tracking the champion so much harder. Caracal Wonder Boy did sneak a ward into the blue buff, which will give a lot of useful information about Varte's pathing.
And what's interesting about that, he went straight to base and bought an Oracle. So he's looking to control this map as much as he can, especially early.
Alright, how does Olaf into this corner jungle 1v1 really look at? If Caracal Wonderboy meets Varte, who will have the upper edge?
I think it depends on who's going to collapse first, because both, like I said, both these junglers are going to play around their mid laners. So it's going to be who has the reaction first, but in the 1v1, if Skarner has a Spire, I think Skarner. If Skarner doesn't have a Spire, and Olaf has Conqueror up, definitely Olaf if he's got the Conqueror up. So
Alright.
it's going to be interesting to see.
Curious
Both mid lanes are trying to push as well. They both want the early push.
Tom of Finland going in for an early play, gets a double knockup with the Grand Entrance, a lot of good damage, and that's a nice trade to start Royal Reapers off.
As expected, the standard level 1 from Zyra Khan, just getting some extra chip damage down, putting their pressure down already.
Alright, and Caracal did start without a leash, which is something you do often see on Olaf since you want to get low on HP. And he is going for a full bot side clear as we speak, and similar tactic is being employed by Varte.
And also, you can see on the top side of the jungle, there is a ward in the red side of the jungle on the Raptors. So we will see the Olaf as soon as he goes over to there. I'd expect pings straight away as soon as we see him, which will be soon.
Yeah, he is seen right now. No pings coming through, but of course, Blackrose Gaming are aware of his presence in the top side as he's taking his own Raptors. And the bot side Scuttle Crab might be what Varte wants to focus on, as he was sticking around that river, but now as I speak, he's just looking. That you can see both these junglers, they are making sure that the other one doesn't get the free gank, especially in that mid lane. It's such a volatile lane.
Yep, and I think that was a little mistake by Varte hanging around there for so long, as Olaf got to clear a lot of his top jungle, and Skarner kind of put himself behind with that.
And that does mean that Caracal will be able to get that top lane Scuttle Crab, could even go to the bot side if he wishes, since he will have the priority to go for that. But now Little Lift, he's left the mid lane. Alright, he will go back, so no collapse coming through.
I think exactly what we're going to expect now is Olaf taking his Krugs or looking for a top gank, and then getting that bot skull. They want double scuttle control, which they should be able to take. I think the Zaya's taking it right now. We can see her on the map over there.
Yeah, there's Pame. Trevelia is placing the ward to make sure they know if Varte wants to go for it. And you see that Zyra can lane pushing in, but they aren't able to transition it into any CS leads just yet.
I think that's mainly down to the level 1 and the level 2 they did. The level 2, they missed out on some they missed out on some CS when they went for the trade. And it's slowly biting them in the butt a bit. But I'd expect them just to constantly keep up the aggression. And they're honestly just looking for kills in this lane.
They definitely are, and I'm still waiting for the junglers. I mean, they obviously don't want to be the first ones to make a mistake, but so far haven't really been looking for those ganks, or at least not positioning around the lanes themselves, and haven't found any opportunities just yet. The first dragon spawning will be a Cloud Drake, so it's not the biggest of the priorities, but if we see either of those bot lanes having heavy push, like we do see McFreeze and Lizard have right now, then definitely Blackrose Gaming could be going for that objective.
You can see the Olaf going for the aggression, pushing into his jungle now, taking away the Raptor camp. And this is what you should expect from the Olaf. He's going to try to invade this guy as much as he can, and the Lux reacted first. So, again, it's around the mid lane, like I said.
And also you see some wars being placed, both these teams of course contesting vision as that bot side river rises in priority. There is that Pixel Brush control ward which Niddlelift will go and clear out right now.
I don't expect much to happen till both junglers hit level 6, which shouldn't be too far off. So we should be looking out for when they turn 6 and what they're going to prioritize for that level 6. Top lane is going pretty well for Poppy. She's out CSing, and that's all she needs to do. She just needs to keep the Aatrox down, and with him having electrocute, it just becomes a lot harder to pressure that Poppy.
Tom of Finland was trying to go in for a play. Lizard actually losing quite a lot of HP on that Braum, chunked down to half, and McFreeze also taking a bit of poke. Another good trade from the bot lane of Royal Reapers.
Again, they're trying to control some of that lane again. They're trying to get that CS lead back, which they currently do have, but they've still got a wave coming into them. So they're just trying to put some more aggression down onto them, starting to choke them out. And then maybe we might see the mid or the jungler move down to here, because they are half HP.
However, so far, both Caracal and Varte sticking around this top lane. Surprisingly, and Nidalee assisting with the jungle pressure. Instead, the plays in the bot lane are going to be focused. Trevelia and Tom of Finland do pick up the first one. Lizard is going to get rooted up. There's the Grand Entrance. Ignite downhill is going to be committed from McFeast, but not much more.
I think that's a really good trade by Royal Reapers. Trading the Ignite for the heal is perfectly fine here, especially with them just catching Lizard time and time again, chunking him every time. And now he's going to be sent to base.
And this is what we could see Royal Reapers use to play around this dragon, but Caracal has just recalled and it is Varte with the position, so maybe that Braum Punish isn't going to yield as much in the end.
No, not at all, and you see Royal Reapers looking for a reset in bot lane now, shoving it in. I expect them to recall straight after this. And Poppy's just trying to keep the lane towards her. She's trying to keep the Aatrox pushed up so he can be punished for it.
And something that I feel like we need to mention is that both top laners went back to the lanes. The teleports are available. Both teams they will be looking for to make a play down towards the bot side.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just going to be who's going to use it first, because they're both very good at interrupting teleports too. So it could literally be one channeling it, one interrupted, and then the other one go for a TP play.
And something to watch as the action is slowly evolving. A narrow gold lead in favor of Royal Reapers, entirely out of the CS differences across the lanes, which aren't even that big if you look at it. Awaken currently holding the biggest one, 13 over jungler, no ganks, as Final Spark used in the mid lane onto Nidalee, just chunking him low.
You'll see that time and time again. It's just the Lux wanted to push you out that lane, send you base as much as possible, and just causing as much pressure, but I don't expect the RE to base, because she's got 2 biscuits. And you can also see the item difference in AD carry right now. So expect a lot of things in bot lane right now as you see the Skarner lurking.
Varte pops down the Oracle, he's got the Impale, he's got the Predator boots. Lizard doesn't have the Glacial Fissure just yet, he now has level 6 and Winter's Bite goes down onto Tom of Finland. Glacial Fissure finds the knockup onto the Rakan, who uses the Quitters and actually gets away, no Impale committed by Varte, and the bot lane of Royal Reapers get out alive.
This is exactly perfect for Royal Reapers. Black Rose get absolutely nothing for this, and even Olaf is still lurking around in case they do go for a re-engage, so nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, good escape, and the efforts are futile from Black Rose. It's not like they lose a lot, just the Predator boots and the ultimate on your support. I'm pretty sure they will be able to deal with that. Now I'm gonna ask you the question, as we have a pretty tranquil early game. Which of these teams is more comfortable with taking this game later on?
I would lean towards Royal Reapers, but right now we have a TP coming in from the Poppy.
We do not have any time to talk. They forced the flash from Lizard as Keeper's Verdict and Grand Entrance were committed, and that's all she wrote for this play.
I think that was a very ballsy TP, because right now Aatrox is going to get a lot of freedom to catch him in that lane and get some turret plays for this.
And I believe the Void Seeker might have interrupted Awaken's recall, so he's going to be arriving there even later. Royal Reapers trying to make work of that play for as much as they can, and they are going to get the Cloud Drake.
And you can see Skarner looking for that mid lane gank. He's lurking in, he's trying to come in right now with the Impale.
Ooh, good dodge away from the charm. That's a double root into the final spark. Varte is now running low, and here comes Caracal. That's a first blood picked up by Omena. The gank turned around by Royal Reapers.
That was really well played by Royal Reapers. They was ready for it, and as you can see, the Lux moved straight towards the Olaf, and the double root there was so important.
Now Nidalee might get ganked as Tom of Finland trying to jump in. He instead is getting charmed, throws down his Ignite, doesn't get anything out of it.
So back to our point, I still think the later this goes, it's still Royal Reapers' favourite despite the enemy team having a Kai'Sa and Aatrox, just because the sheer amount of CC and how good Royal Reapers can play a front to back with that comp. So it's going to be very difficult to play around. They've just got so much CC, so much peel, and so much utility in their team.
However, now Mana Mune is completed on McFreeze, and that's the Kai'Sa build that has kind of surfaced recently. It gives you a big mid-game spike. How important is it really for Black Rose Gaming to be playing around this item?
It's very important because Kai'Sa will spike a lot faster with this. This is the reason it popped up. It's just a lot cheaper than the Storm Razor build, and it makes you scale a hell of a lot faster on Kai'Sa, and as we know, Kai'Sa scales really well as it is. So it's very important to see when she finishes this too, because as soon as it finishes, that's another important spike for her. So a lot to think about in this game. A lot to think about.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that. That was a good steal, the 5 small Raptors from Omena. Alright, that was a bit greedy. I mean, the final spark cooldown is pretty short. But yeah, and now, oh, Engage coming through in the mid lane onto Nidalee. He has to pop the Spirit Rush, nice dodge away from the light binding. Tom of Finland doesn't get anything at all, and no one drops.
This falls back to exactly what we were talking about before the game. Just heavily playing around the mid lane. And like we've seen earlier, with the Poppy trying to TP to snowball that bot lane, it's just how this game's going to go. It's going to go mid to bot, mid to bot. Nothing's going to happen in top lane right now.
Alright, an engagement could break out in the jungle. The slows from the Hextech GLP force the Ragnarok from Caracal. And another disengage coming through from the side of Royal Reapers. Something though that I do want to point out is if you look at the items, Nidalee and Mac Freeze already have their first items completed, whereas Omena and Pame Trevelia are still working towards those spikes.
Indeed, and this is also back to why the utility build's really good for Ahri. It's not expensive, it's really cheap, and you just get that before Ludens half the time. So it's just a really nice spike to sit on as well. You'll see it used nearly every time on cooldown, so it'll be up a lot, to be honest.
And it also makes the pick potential from Black Rose Gaming so much bigger, as Varte is sitting in that bot lane brush. I believe there is no vision from Royal Reaper, so Lizard, if he wants to go for some engage, they can definitely find something, especially that the quickness and the flash from Tom are on cooldown.
I really don't expect much to happen right now.
Unless Tom is going to walk straight in and Mac Freeze picks up the kill, teleport committed just for good measure, and Black Rose Gaming get themselves on the board.
So I feel like they must have heard me there, because as soon as I said that, they go and face check the bush, and they get caught out with it, and it's a nice TP from the Aatrox, and they're going to get a lot of gold from this, because they force off the AD carry from the tower, and they're just going to take a lot of plates.
Of course, the plating dropping about now. Lizard, did he overextend on that Bromog? Right, it doesn't seem like he did, as Awaken in the top lane. He's going to be stuck. That's a great sidestep from Nidalee. From that Keeper's Rage, and now Awaken stuck under 100 HP. He needs to keep alive. That's a great shield with the Iron Ambassador. Hammer Shot goes down, but Nidalee picks up the solo kill in the top lane, and now here comes Caracal. He just throws the axe into Nidalee's back, and it is a 1-for-1 trade.
The trade kill there is actually super worth it for Royal Reapers, because they just lost a massive trade on bot lane. But hold on here, we've still got more action.
In the river, he might get ran down. No flash available. He's got the final spark. Varte trying to come through. He doesn't have the appeal. That's a flash forward. The knockup is found with the Dark Blades. Flash forward from Lizard. He misses the Winter's Bite, and Omena gets out alive.
Omena with the fancy footwork, and he gets out. Especially after greeding for a Squirtle Crab, so they're still heavily focusing these Squirtle Crabs, and he's really lucky to get out here, to be honest. And he gets out without being punished.
The gold difference is still pretty much dead on even. 400 was a thing 10 minutes ago. Now 400 gold is barely anything. As you can see, that fluctuate. Now it is 200, and pretty much the game is in even state, as the item discrepancy that I briefly mentioned before is now gone, because Omena has got Luden's Echo and Pame Trevelia picked up that Essence Reaver.
And the main thing is, as soon as Lux hits that 2-item spike, she will start to take over a lot more. Her damage will ramp up a huge amount. So we've really got to keep our eye on that. And the mid lane farm's fairly even still.
Just about 10 in favor of Omena, but as you said, not a major lead. Awaken still trying to push himself into that top lane tower. If you look at the teleports, Awaken can join the bot lane fight, and Jungler No Ganks of course used that just 2 minutes ago for the play in the bot lane, so he will not have that cooldown available to him.
And we have Aatrox on his Black Cleaver power spike with 30% CDR, which is really nice for Aatrox. It gives him a lot more freedom just to spam, and it helps him a lot. The 30% CDR spike is one of his best.
And the Cloud Drake secured by Royal Reapers. Varte was trying to fish for maybe some sort of a steal, or at least make sure to be annoying, but they do not get it. And Royal Reapers, they have the two Cloud Drakes, which usually aren't a big thing, but they could be helping them with the rotations as we are slowly but surely transitioning into the proper mid-game.
I think a lot of the time people overlook how much the Cloud Drake is actually important, especially when you get more than one of them. When you get 2 or even 3, your rotations are that fast, and it starts to add up, and people always underestimate it every time.
Lizard takes a big chunk of his health as he was trying to go in for the main, and then you have to watch out the Xayah with the Essence Weaver already dealing quite a lot of damage if she manages to cut you out with those feathers. So maybe let's take an overlook at the game. Who are the people we should be watching for? As Tom of Finland tries to go in for the place, well, I will interrupt that point. That's a good glacial fissure though for Tom of Finland, has to flash out. He's ignited down the concussive blows, and Mac Freeze is going to pick up the kill. Pame Travelia looking to trade back, flash forward, he gets it. The root as well, connecting onto Lizard, but he will be able to jump to the minion. It is a 1-for-1 in the bottom, but now look at the top side. Ragnarok is popped away, Karkal has to flash out. Middle lift still on the chase, he's got the damage, but Dasky, he has to flash away, and the Orb of Deception in the end is going to pick him up. Now Varte with the Impale onto Awaken is going to drag him into that tri-bush. However, here comes Omena, he throws down the Lucent Singularity, and the light binding Juggernaut Gangs just drops, and now Varte, he has to get the hell out of here with the flash over the wall. He's going to make it, and it all ends in a 2-for-2 globally.
So as soon as it goes quiet, they start popping off. It's the action we was talking about, and honestly, again, I think it's Royal Reaper's favoured again, because they killed the Kai'Sa, they got the tower for that as well. So it's Kai'Sa off the map, she's losing XP, she's losing gold. Xayah got the gold because she killed Kai'Sa and she got the tower. And then the rotation by Omena to top. Just constant action, and that Rift Herald is still up, so I don't expect the action to end anytime soon.
Now Varte, he's trying to go for the play. They force the flash for Omena. That's a good charm to lock down the lags. Omena though, he's still alive. He's got the shields. Final spark is going to come out, and the mid lane of Royal Reapers will be alive and well. They do force a bunch of summoners as Omena without flash or barrier, and Awaken forced to use TP to the mid lane.
You can see why this Lux pick is so popular right now. She is so hard to kill with that barrier, and they're constantly protecting her, making sure she doesn't fall. So she's never falling behind, and she's just keeping up her pressure in this game.
And Omena 101 has the Luden's Echo working towards what I would assume might be a Banshee's Veil, considering the amount of CC and slows available to Black Rose Gaming. And this guy, you mentioned it, he might take the game over, and he's on his course to do it.
Yeah, he's definitely going for that Banshee's Veil second. It's just going to add to the point I just said. It's just going to make it even harder to kill, and she already is difficult for them to take down. So when she gets that item, what are they going to do about it? It's the big question.
Alright, and we mentioned about tracking the Mura mana completion. Let's just take a look at how stacked is that mana mune. Mac Freeze T has got about 200 more left to stack, so that will be coming in about a minute, and he doesn't have that spike yet. And so that Kai'Sa will not do in the teamfight nearly as much as the Xayah will.
Especially now that Xayah is sitting on that 2-item spike, and it's very scary to deal with actually. Because as soon as she gets rapid fire,
AoE slows are coming through. Tom of Finland is going to get impaled back into the team. He's still alive though. Glacial Fissure coming down, and already the first kill going over to the Black Rose Gaming. Pame Travelia forced to use that Feather Stone. Oh, and that picks up the kill in return, but it's already 2 in favor as Nidalev picks up the double kill for Black Rose Gaming. Awaken sitting under the tower. Orb of Deception is just going to chunk him a bit, and it's a 2-for-1 fight in favor of BRG.
that was a really well played fight by BRG. Ari went straight into the backline after using her slows, forced so much pressure to be turned towards her, while the Aatrox and the Skarner are just literally chain CCing everyone they can. And it's just so difficult to play around. And this is the fight BRG needed to start getting back into this game.
They are still 1000 gold in the deficit, but it is closer, as you have said, and we saw what that Ari can do if the setup is proper. These slow zones were massive. Pame Travelia couldn't even get close to dish out his damage or he would die. And what I really want to mention as well is that McFreeze has completed that Ginsu's Rage Blade, so once he hits that Mura Mana, he will hit like a truck.
Yeah, and as soon as he gets that, that's when the Kaiser's online. That's when you're going to see so much more aggression out of this team. And you're already seeing that aggression. The Ori has 4 kills now, and that matters a lot in this matchup, to be honest.
And it is the double utility items, and the Twin Shadows, the amount of range they give you is actually insane, but the teleport flank coming down onto Royal Reapers, well that is followed by Jungler, no ganks, he's trying to stay alive, and he's going to get chunked out by Omena. In the end, he's going to drop in the backline shutdown, picked up by McFreeze, and awakening in the middle of the fray. He's going to go low on HP, and the lift is on a rampage, everyone is dropping left, right, and center, but it is the 3 members of Royal Reapers who are already down. Caracal is next to follow, and that's a 4-4-2 fight in favor of Black Rose Gaming, as McFreeze picks up the triple kill.
You could see how much presence that Aatrox demands. As soon as he TP'd, everyone had to turn to him, while the Ahri, the Kaiser, are doing so much damage, while everyone's getting stunned up in that team fight. And it just makes it so much harder. And I talked about the front to back of Royal Reapers, but Black Rose are doing it better. So it's going to be interesting to see how else they're going to play these team fights, because Black Rose is starting to take over. This Kaiser's going to hit the Mana Moon very soon, and then we're going to see some Baron plays.
And we saw Omena that he couldn't get the damage onto the right targets. In that team fight, he was just stuck in behind the Aatrox. He needed to keep himself alive, and this is the perfect environment that Black Rose want to be playing around. And you already see McFreeze working towards his third item, which appears to be that Nashor's Tooth, getting ahead of his counterpart.
And not only that, look at the mid lane. Ahri is sitting on an Oblivion Orb, Amena's sitting on 1k, he's just gone back and bought that Banshees. So it's 2 items to nearly 3 items, and that matters actually so much in this game, especially with so much priority being played around this mid lane.
The Twin Shadows just coming out for a bit of zoning. The Baron is already on the Rift for 3 minutes, but neither of those teams are really paying huge amounts of attention to that objective just yet.
I think whatever team fight breaks out next is going to force the Baron. It's either going to be a Baron dance, or it's going to be the Ahri getting that slow off, getting someone to force to use an ult or a flash.
Oh,
but right now
he's going in for the big good flash from Varte to avoid the subsequent CC, and that is a summoner that Royal Reapers will be happy taking.
Yeah, definitely. But also the trade is absolutely fine. Losing a flash for not dying at this point in the game is so important.
Especially now, if you think about the offensive that Varte could have used. He's sitting on that Righteous Glory. He has so much potential to just run a single target down. Now he doesn't have the flash, so he cannot gap close. And if Omena hits him with a light binding, he cannot dodge away from it, and he's going to be stuck in one place for a long time.
The interesting thing I wanted to point out, which I've just noticed as well, that Olaf opted for more of a damage build. He's gone Warrior, he's gone Black Cleaver. We don't have the Cinderhulk jungle item, which is very interesting considering he's getting melted in these fights.
And we're gonna see if Caracal can turn that in his favor. The only way in which I can see it is if he reaches the backline. Then that build is absolutely great. You can just run anyone down as long as they don't kill you first. But this is where the problem starts, because Mura Mana and the Nashor's Tooth are now sitting in McFreeze's inventory.
Yep, and exactly that. So you're going to expect a lot of fights right now. You're going to expect Black Rose to group as soon as possible. You got LeBron Basin. They're going to group. They're going to look for a pick with the Twin Shadows. And they're going to try force a fight because this Kaiser is so strong right now. And they expect her to demand so much presence in this current place of the game.
And you see the consequence of picking Skarner is the QSS tag spam. Trevelia has opted into that item finally, so he will be much safer in those fights, but it means that his damage output will be lower than that of McFreeze. Then this game has been turned around so quickly by Black Rose Gaming. It all happened in that one fight around the dragon.
Yeah, and you can see why people do like to pick picks like the Skarner, because buying that QSS on Xayah is that important because you need it. Not only just that, it puts you behind on an item. So Kaiser's sat at 3 items and you're sat at 2.5. It's so detrimental.
Now though, we see Royal Reapers, they've got some control over the river, not complete monopoly of the vision, as instead they might be looking for the mid lane. Nidalif already forced to use that Spirit Rush. Look at Omena, he's stacking with everything, and McFreeze is just coming in with the Killer Instinct, picking up the first kill of the fight, and now the Impel is going to connect on top of Trevelia, forces him to QSS out. A shutdown is picked up by Nidalif, the players are pulled back in, and Black Rose Gaming, they already find two. They are still on the chase for Tom of Finland, who will be able to get to safety, but 2 picks in the mid lane for BRG.
You can see the perfect flank by Ari there. She was looking for it the entire time. The play around her was on Aatrox is caught here.
Oh, the action is not done yet. McFreeze in the front line, unstoppable as he kills Tom of Finland. The charm onto Pame Trevelia, and Nidalif gonna get the kill. Caracal Wonderboy, the only person surviving for Royal Reapers, and this could be the Baron call from Black Rose Gaming.
You can see the gold lead starting to slowly shift now. It's 2k gold lead towards Black Rose. And just like I was saying before that fight, Ari just got the perfect pick with that utility build. And it's what I was looking for the entire time.
And McFreeze, he's just going into the front line. He's not scared of anyone. Getting the kills left, right, and center. He's the big carry that Black Rose needed. And now he stepped up as Caracal, forced to flash over the pit. He's still stuck. Void Seeker finds him. 8 kill for the AD carry of BRG.
I respect the attempt on the dragon, but I think that was really greedy, expecting him not to finish Baron that fast and still check the dragon, because the dragon is always going to be theirs for free, and Dolaf just didn't have enough damage to finish it in time, and the Aatrox found him, and he also lost the summoner for that, so it's actually so much he's losing just for a dragon.
4,500 in the lead is now sitting Black Rose Gaming in their opening game of the split. A nice statement to make for sure, especially against Royal Reapers, one of the better teams. Of course, that doesn't prove anything, at least not in the week 1. But this team is looking pretty damn strong in this game, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's a very strong start by Black Rose, and you can see why the public favoured them.
Yeah, I mean, the Twitch chat knew it all along. I mean, they didn't know it yet, because I feel like we might be jumping a bit too far onto the BRG hype train. Royal Reapers, they're not out of this game. If Omena finds the right picks, he can carry this game quite easily. I mean, not easily, but he will do it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. There's still the pick potential of Royal Reapers. So this game is not out of their hands yet. Anything can still happen.
Very much so. And now without Baron, Bath, BRG are looking to lay siege to some of these structures, because this has been a very low tower taking game. 3 for Royal Reapers and just 2 for Black Rose Gaming, who are 5,000 gold in the lead. That is not something you often see. And this is mostly thanks to all the wave clear that is available between the Xayah and the Lux.
And you can see that Black Rose are starting to understand that, and that's why they've put the 1-3-1 straight into position. Because it's so hard to siege, they're just going to spread the lanes out. And this Ari is just going to poke down whoever goes to that side lane. So they could be Dove, or they'll force mid, or they'll force top. So there's just many options for them right now, and they're just going to play around the Baron.
Yeah, Varte, he finds the Impale onto Tom of Finland. That's a good pick, and the Rakan maybe slightly overestimating what he can do, and the tower falls as a direct result.
Yeah, very much so. Kind of disrespecting the Skarner pick there, and the Skarner just takes him away. That's exactly what's going to happen every time. You don't have a QSS, Skarner will pull you.
And now all of the inner towers have been knocked down by Black Rose Gaming. The base is the next objective. 30 minutes on the clock they are looking to get at. Varte forces the flash from Omena as he had the Predator under Righteous Blow. The inhibitor tower in the mid lane does fall. However, here comes the engage from Royal Reapers. They are not done in this game yet. Warlander from jungle, no ganks, trying to zone away the members as the twin shadows come out for some disengage. The inhibitor still standing though, and here comes Awaken. He's looking for the knockups, he finds it too, and McFreeze is caught up. The Grand Entrance is going to bring him down. Ignite is down, but the shield with that is not going to a damn thing as Awaken finds the big shutdown of 1,000 gold. And Royal Reapers, they're trying to push forward, but disengage seems to be enough for the side of Black Rose Gaming. Royal Reapers, they save their inhib, they get the shutdown, and they are going to stay alive in this game.
So that fight there was more important than you think. The flash knockup by Awaken was so important to be used there, because that 1k shutdown is a massive amount of gold, and it saved our inhibitor too. You could see that Nidalee had to back off because he is completely so the Ahri is completely useless there. She cannot do a single thing unless she has one of her actives up, which I don't know if she did at the time, and they just forced it, which is really good by them.
Yeah, they engaged from Awaken. I just want to take a moment to, give it praise once again. It was on point, the fallout from Tom of Finland, and McFreeze, he doesn't have the QSS. He went for the Banshees, the more AP tuned build for the Kai'Sa. But once you break that shield, McFreeze is so susceptible to any lockdown that Royal Reapers can provide.
That's true, but the AP scaling is so insane on Kai'Sa that she can just blow up whatever target she will get onto. And as I said about the Olaf, he's not very tanky still. He needs to get the adaptive helm fully finished.
And so far he's sitting on the components. He's working towards that. It is a working process, but how much time will you realistically have? Because with that huge Baron power play, Black Rose Gaming are not looking to slow this game down. They want to push it to the finish as soon as they can. And this next dragon, which will be a mountain, could be something they use to force the Royal Reapers to make a mistake.
I think we've got to keep in mind that the Lux still doesn't have flash, and she doesn't have a QSS. As soon as that Banshees gets popped, you might see the Skarner just Righteous Glory for her. And if they catch that Lux, it could be game.
I'm not going to disagree with that. It could very much be the game-ending play that Black Rose Gaming will make as they secure the second Mountain Drake. The Baron is going to be spawning in under a minute, and you've got a 4-item AP Kai'Sa. That champion is going to shred this objective. So unless Royal Reapers are already going to be in a position to contest, they have no hopes of getting that Baron.
Very much so, and you can see that Rakan has picked up that QSS. And it's just the Skarner attacks coming into play. He had to buy it. The Skarner just kept picking him off every time.
And now the Vision Dance is commenced.
The thing to keep in mind right now, Ahri is sitting on her Rabadons, so she is gonna hurt like hell. She's gonna burst whatever target she finds instantly.
Ooh, final spark used in this mid lane. Biomana maybe looking to catch out McFreeze. However, Jungler no ganks in this ball lane. He's shoving in those waves, looking to create pressure and stretch Royal Reapers thin. Because we saw what they can do if they grew up as 5.
You can see the gold lead though slowly still ticking away, which is 7k gold lead, or more over 7k now, nearly an 8k gold lead, and they start the Baron.
Alright, Karkal Wonderboy still has his flash, which is a very important cooldown. He can't get into the pit. The Baron now on 4000 HP. There is vision in the pit. Karkal, he's going in, and he steals the Baron! Royal Reapers! They're gonna get the objective. They will sacrifice their jungler for it though. And that was a great steal.
I think this is important to see what Black Rose are going to do with us now. There is one member down, and he's dead for 40 seconds. So, the big question is, was that worth it?
I think it's definitely worth it, but are they going to lose a lot from it is the real question we should be asking. The inhibitor is definitely down. You cannot contest it 4 against 5, and this is the price that you pay for denying the Baron from Black Rose Gaming.
If they only lose an inhibitor here, which they currently have, it's such a good trade for them. It will slowly get them back into the game and just slowly grab them some more farm. And that's all they need. They just need to farm, get back into that game. The Xayah is on 3 items right now, so she will hurt like hell.
We talked about the Kai'Sa, of course, scaling, but Xayah, she does a very similar thing, minus the mobility of the Kai'Sa. And you've got that Infinity Edge now, and with every passing item, Royal Reapers are hoping to clutch themselves, to come... I'm losing words, to come back in this game. And you mentioned it at the beginning. Royal Reapers, they are happy with letting this game go to late game.
Very much so, just because the Xayah is so good at front to back. She's so good at it. And it's just, you have to play around on feathers. And if the enemy doesn't realize the feathers are behind them, that could just be one easy pick, or someone just getting bursted straight away. And it's a very difficult thing to play around when you're not noticing them in a hectic team fight.
And in extreme scenarios, I've seen the whole teams getting deleted by that cooldown. Now, Banshee's Veil is going to be knocked down for Omena with the fracture over the wall by Varte. So you don't have that safety for the Lux for at least the next 30 seconds. Final Spark already utilized as well. There comes the slow zones, and Jungle Nogax is coming in for the flank and fighting the backline as Markvisis jumps in with the killer instinct. However, he's now going to get turned upon. Omena already falls, and Pamet Revelia is trying to stay alive, but there will be no salvation for Royal Reapers tonight as Blackwolves Gaming, they are sweeping them clean with an ace and a triple kill for McFreeze.
That was such a beautiful team fight to watch. The Aatrox came in with a flash Q, hits up 2 or 3 targets. I wasn't sure if he hit 3, I think 2. And then the Ari slows coming in. By the time they came in, their whole entire team was able to arrive and just mop everyone up. It was so well played by Black Rose.
Black Rose Gaming, they come back from an early deficit with the 1-5 around the Dragon. The minion wave is coming through. They will jump onto the second Nexus tower, and they are looking to take the first win in the split against Royal Reapers.
A bit of a shaky start, but you can see they took control in that mid game, and that was really nice to watch. It was a really good game to start the split.
Very much so. How long did that go? It was a very long game, and in the end, BRG, they secure the win. They put themselves 1-up against Royal Reapers, a team that finished first in the regular season. And of course, playoffs was another story, but they proved that they might be some serious contenders. Of course, it's only week 1, and I don't want to make any sweeping assumptions, but if McFreeze plays like he did today for the rest of this play, then I'm confident in them.
Yeah, very much so. And it was a 37-minute game, and you can see the damage that Kai'Sa did. She did 24k damage, and that just matters so much. He played so well, and he rarely got caught out of position. Even in that last team fight, it may have looked like he was out of position, but he kited back and just deleted that Olaf.
And before anyone says that, oh yeah, it's only 24,000, that was the most in the game by about 5,000, or sorry, 4,000 from his mid laner and 5,000 from the highest damage on the opposing team. So just because there wasn't a lot of team fights going on all the time, it doesn't mean that McFreeze didn't do a lot. You can already now see it in the graphical form, but I mean, I think that kind of wraps it up for the first game. We will have the next match between CBA and Stopwatch. Is there anything else that you want to add?
The only thing I need to add on top of this game was the main thing I was watching. You could see the vision score between the junglers. The Skarner was controlling the vision as much as he could, and that paid off for them. Ari got flanks because of this. And the amount of times that mattered in this game was so big. So it's definitely a thing to keep an eye on. It's just how well this jungler played too.
Alright, well, just a shout out to Varte then, but we will go into the short break, guys. Stick around because we will be back for the next match between actually CBA and Stopwatch. Don't go anywhere. Renekton is the actual lock-in for Stopwatch.
Renekton is a really good matchup into Aatrox. It's quite skill focused, but the Renekton is easily able to take over in the early game. And if you can push that early game, as soon as Renekton gets that 2-item spike, it is so hard to stop him. So I expect heavy focus in the top lane this game.
And now we see the focus in the second phase of bans being the jungle, at least initially from Stopwatch, since it hasn't been locked in, at least presumably, from either of the teams. At least the first one to get taken off the table, and now we're waiting for what CBA decide to ban off. Mid lane and jungle still yet to be picked for Stopwatch.
There's the Sylas ban, so Sylas isn't getting through this game either.
And it is a strong champion that Credible could make great work of. Of course, CBA decide not to even give him a chance, as LeBlanc is going to be the response, one of Paulson's most played champions in his solo queue account.
The thing we've got to consider, this Aatrox can still go mid. There's nothing stopping Aatrox going mid or jungle this game, so they might have wasted a ban, we don't know yet.
No, we do not. Vi as well, the last ban against Live in Limbo. That's a pretty strong jungler if you can pull off the ganks, and they seem to not be wanting to try their chances against it. Now, what do Stopwatch pick? Do they pick the jungle?
I think they pick jungle here, definitely.
Alright, it's not Nautilus support.
Nope, it's fresh support. We've got the Nautilus, what can go either jungle or mid. So it's going to be very interesting to see where they put him. I think the Nautilus is going jungle here, not mid.
Alright, I'm gonna just stick to what you are calling, as let's move on to the other side of the draft, because CBA have got a bit of a nicer champions to make sense of. Vladimir, most likely for Paulson, also a champion he's very familiar with, has shown himself to be effective, and a Jarvan to top off what will be such a strong team fighting comp. Or even a Hecarim.
I actually like the Hecarim better here, and it's actually such a smart pick. Like, the enemy team have to focus so much anti-healing this game, because you've got Hecarim, you've got Vladimir, you've got Aatrox, even the Varus. It's just going to be really hard to shut down.
And you were right, it is a Nautilus in the jungle, as now Corki picked up, going over to Credible, I would assume. And we've got the entire compositions. So we see the heavy fight focus, or team fighting skirmishes just run at your opponent from CBA. But what are Stopwatch trying to accomplish with their comp?
They really want to take over in the mid game. You've got the really good early game in top lane. I don't know how this matchup is going to go in the jungle, because the Hecarim does have Ignite. So if the Nautilus sees a Hecarim, I really don't think it's going to go well for him. The Corgi wants to hit Trinity Force, use that package to either go to the top or the bottom. I would, if I was him, go towards the top, because it's just such an easy gank for him, because the Renekton can settle that up really easy.
Okay, and this is where Stopwatch will have to try and play around the Dark Blah, because, of course, I'm going to just repeat your point, bear with me, Renekton being the early game, pretty much the lane you want to snowball through. And then you've got the Vanguard on the other side, which is one of the people that has stepped up last split, very much a lot for actually CBA, especially if he gets ahead. So the question that I'm trying to get to is, how much of a priority is it for Stopwatch to make sure that Vanguard doesn't take the game over?
I think it's such an important factor for them, because we know Vanguard can take over games, but Stopwatch are new here. They're new to this. I don't know if they've scrimmed each other or anything in the past, so they really need to put that priority into shutting them down. But I still think they're going to play around the top and mid. They're going to focus on using that package into top lane. They're going to focus on getting that Renekton ahead to snowball.
Alright guys, vote in the chat, who do you think will be the winning team in this? 1 for actually CBA and 2 for Stopwatch. A lot of ones in the chat, and what you also said, as well as what we are seeing right now, brings me to the point of, as you have mentioned correctly, Stopwatch is the new team to this league. CBA are the reigning champions. Alright, yeah, don't. I'm sorry. I did forget for a moment. They swept through the playoffs, and they are the best team from the last split. And imagine how important it is for Stopwatch right now to have a strong showing against them in this first day, and likewise for CBA to also live up to their expectations.
I think it's more important for CBA. If Stopwatch lose, it's not too bad for them because they don't have a lot of expectations on them, but CBA do. CBA are the reigning defending champions, so they'd really want to start off strong and not lose their first game coming back. So I think it's a lot more pressure for them, but I think they'll handle the pressure well. They've drafted a really nice team comp, really hard to play around actually, with, like I said, so much anti-healing it's going to be needed on the enemy team.
Alright, and we are of course just waiting for the spectator delay to come through. What is really the lane? Maybe are we going to really focus on the top lane? Are there any other lanes to keep in our minds, especially for the early game?
Not the early game, really. It's still just going to be the top lane, but in the mid game, you might see just some fresh lanterns into ganks. Like, it still is an easy option. They do have double TP as opposed to one TP on the enemy team. So they could easily 5-man that bot lane. They could play CBA at their own game. It's going to be interesting to see how they try this and how they play around it.
Alright, and just taking a look at the Twitch poll, CBA also very heavily favored. Let me actually just take a look at what are the exact percentages. We are in the 87s, but it was only 8 people voting, so 7 out of 8 people decided to go for CBA and 1 went for Stopwatch. Guys, if you haven't, then just let us know what your opinion is. Of course, we do expect CBA to have more of those votes because of the weight of their expectations. But as we have already identified, the team comp makes it so much easier. They've got the Vladimir, the Varus, the Hecarim, the Death Bowl is going to be real, especially if any of the lanes on CBA find themselves with the lead.
Very much so, and you see the standard Conqueror coming through for both Hecarim and Aatrox. So it's going to be really hard for Stopwatch to actually shut them down. And it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. I expect a lot of aggression this game still. I expect it to be similar to last game. I expect the first 5 to 10 minutes to be really quiet. And then soon as one thing is going to come up to contest, the Dragon, the Scuttle, even just like a rotation, trying to get a buff, that is when things are going to kick off.
And now imagine that in the second game we get what we were expecting in the first one. That will be a bit of a twist. Of course, I do have to agree with you, because the only lane where we are really going to see a lot of action will be that top lane, and maybe if JappyXD can find some hooks on that Thresh, then maybe there is potential for some bot lane action, but apart from that, not a whole lot, as we are loading into the Rift for our second match of the day.
Do we think we're going to see any solo kills in this game, Kachka?
Solo kills, I'd love to see them. And I think if Galena or Paulson get ahead, then they will definitely be looking for those solo kills.
Very much so, and I also definitely agree on that. And I do expect a lot of aggression out of the bot lane. It's going to be really hard to deal with a Varus. Just one E, one Q from Braum, and it could be someone dead.
Look at what's happening. That's actually 200 IQ from CBA. The counter invade spot. I mean, maybe Stopwatch are going to predict it, but Jappy, he's coming forward, and he gets stuck by the Wither Bite. Immediate flash out, but the Concussive Blows do stick with the stun. Ignite is slowly ticking him low down to 200. CBA don't get any kills. It is a summoner for a summoner trade.
You see, I don't understand the idea behind this, because it's more or less a common rule. Everyone knows, don't invade Braum. And it's not only just Braum you have to worry about in this invade, it's Aatrox too. Massive AoE. So I don't understand why they went for the invade, but it turns out pretty well for CBA.
Yeah, they actually do also force the flash on Darkblood, which is something that I have missed. But this Renekton will lose his escape summoner on top of it all. Unknown Sweet starting over on his red buff, and Live in Limbo also going to commence on the bot side, but on his blue buff.
So both support and top have lost their flashes, so you should see some focus towards one of them lanes. And the interesting thing here is Corki Sotted Longsword. He wants that early aggression.
Ooh. Yeah, definitely a curious pickup, as you usually are expecting something along the lines of a Doran's Blade, maybe a shield in some extreme scenarios, as the top laners are trading, as the top laners usually do in aggressive early game matchups. And not much more happening. Junglers both already pathing straight up to their top sides.
And you can see how this top lane matchup goes. The Renekton's just getting that early priority, and it's going to be very hard to hit him if he's got his dash up, and he'll be able to dodge a lot of his combo.
Alright, we already see early shoving from Vengel and Yasuo in the bot lane. They are able to utilize the Varus abilities to make sure that the Bomberhorn is stuck under his own tower. A small CS is also developing in the top lane in favor of Darkbla. And the mid lane, it is going to be a one big back and forth, just farming towards your power spikes.
You can see it's exactly what we talked about. The bot lanes just wanted to be aggressive, pushing in, trying to deny the Kai'Sa as much farm as possible. Varus is using that E nearly on cooldown to harass this Thresh and keep the wave pushed.
That sentence from Jappy goes wide, and he will take a bit of poke in return as a punishment. But it just makes it kind of hard to play, because if you get pushed in as Thresh and you miss those hooks, you provide absolutely nothing to the lane.
Very much so, and you can see how far back the Thresh has to play in this lane with losing his flash early too. And that matters so much. It just means Thresh can't go for these hooks, trying to pull anyone on the tower here.
Leaving Limbo, he's sticking around the top lane, potentially looking for a gang. I'm not sure if Galina saw him coming to that brush. He has got two wards in the river, but of course it is possible to path into it. Avoiding that vision, instead leaving Limbo decides to complete the recall, just leave Darkblood to his own devices as he gets a nice trade in onto Galina.
I think the main thing here, what he was looking for, was the counter gank. Because the 2v2 with Renekton and Nautilus is really good with how much CC they have. So he was just looking for Hecarim to try test that, and with Hecarim not having flash, just means if he gets caught, he's in trouble.
Hold on, leaving Limbo. This guy has so much damage all in onto Unknown Sweet. Gets him under 300 HP, and I'm not sure actually who did secure the blue buff. I think it was Unknown Sweet in the end, so in fact it was mildly successful.
Yeah, Unknown Sweet did come away with that blue buff. And you can see the damage coming through from the Nautilus. The early game damage from Nautilus is to be respected.
And you also have got that Skirmisher's Saber, is what it's called, which just gives you so much more 1 versus 1 damage against a specific target. So even though we said that Unknown Sweet should be able to have the head into 1v1s, as in the bot lane, a play coming through the hook onto Gaza, the flay back, ignite down, and first blood picked up by leaving Limbo.
And it's the Lantern play we was thinking of, but it happened a lot earlier than we expected. It's in the early game, and we're back to top lane. A lot of aggression coming out of Renekton.
Yeah, Darkblood taking the turret shots doesn't help him at all, but Galina is similarly low on HP as we stand. He finds the knockup with the Darkin Blade, looking for the second one, but good step away.
You can see where losing that flash early actually bites the Renekton here, because if the Renekton had a flash there, you'd see him look for that flash W full combo, and that would be enough to put that Aatrox behind and start snowballing in that Renekton, but he doesn't have his flash.
Now we did see the last game, after the first recall in the game of Black Rose Gaming. Oh, I don't have time to talk about it. Credible, he might just die in the melee. The Hemoplague should be enough to finish him off, and Paulsen, he picks up a solo kill onto Credible.
So it's one of the important lanes we've been looking at, and Paulsen comes away with a solo kill. It's actually huge.
Look at Darkblood though, he's losing health very fast against Galina, who could be still on the chase. Has got the flash, now pop the World Nether, but instead Darkblood makes it underneath his turret, and he will be fine.
Just a little bit of an overstay there by Renekton, so he's just going to base, pick up his Tiamat, and just come back to the lane.
Important thing to pay attention to is that Credible went straight for that Executioner's Calling. Darkblood teleports into a gang for Unknown Sweet. The Infernal Chains bring him back. Galina dropping very, very low. Has to flash out, but Unknown Sweet is going to pick up the kill, and this is a great start for CBA.
That Ignite there was actually more important than you think. So the Ignite stopped any of that healing coming through from that Renekton. And if that Renekton got that healing from his Q, he could have traded a kill there. You can see the minion wave was in his favor too, and doing so much damage to that Aatrox. So the Ignite is really important.
Yasuo jumping forward, instead going to get hooked back in the flay. Just a little too short, and Jappy doesn't find it. In the end, the game continues to go exactly as CBA wanted for now.
You can see the early execution is picked up by Corki too. He doesn't really want to die anymore in that lane. He wants to keep that Vlad down as much as possible and stop him sustaining any damage he does to him. So,
fun fact, Paulson still hasn't recalled after getting the first blood. He's recalling with 2,500 gold. Is that enough to pick up the whole Pro-2? Okay, it's not. Or I'm not going to say, I'm not exactly sure about the item cost, but you can see how many composites he is currently sitting on.
So the reason you go for that is the Vladimir just wants as much CDR as possible. And that's going to help him get to that, because at the 10-minute mark, that Vlad's going to have 40% CDR right now.
Yeah,
actually,
and this
30.
is...
Sorry, 30.
I mean, 30 is still a lot when it comes to the rate at which those transfusions are going to become available to Paulson to make sure that whatever Credible throws at him in the lane is not going to matter. As Darkblack trying to have a look at the bot side river, the RP throws down the box, and Unknown City just uses the Onslaught of Shadows to get away.
You can see it leading to nothing, them just clearing vision and then moving back to the bot lane. They really want to get this Infernal Drake, but it's too risky to make a play for that right now with a Vlad on the map.
Also, Vanguard and Gazo having the priority in bot lane. Vara's going for the recall, trying to get his first items back. We've got the control in the Tribush, so Stopwatch do have some semblance of control over the area for the dragon, so they wouldn't be worried about CBA picking it up.
Very much so, and you can see top lane, it's just still the natural slugfest where it was earlier. Nothing's really changed in that lane. And they're going for the dragon.
Well, they saw Vanguard going for a recall. Unknown Swede was also resetting. Paulson is just going to calm down and check out what's going on. He probably says to his team, alright, the dragon is gone, and Stopwatch at 9 minutes, they pick up the Infernal.
This is such an important pickup by Stopwatch because they do scale well. Both teams do scale really good in this game, so this might make a difference. We're going to have to see. And it also depends on what dragons we're going to get next.
It is a bit early for this question, but just out of curiosity, I'm going to... Unless Galina gets collapsed on, I'm just gonna wait and see. Alright, out of curiosity, which of those teams has the better late game?
I think easily CBA. Because that Vladimir, with Phase Rush, becomes so hard to stop. And if he gets one fight where he flash, ults, ease into the backline, that can be enough to turn all direction to him. And then he's going to Zhonya's, he's going to pull, he's going to just draw all that attention. And it's not only him you have to worry about. Aatrox demands so much presence too. It's just so much healing you've got to worry about.
We're looking about presence collapse coming through in onto Gyasu Depth Charge, connected onto Vanguard. Dredgeline brings the Braum back in, and that should be the first kill. Leaving Limpo is the one to pick it up. And meanwhile, Darkblack is going to fall. Vanguard in the bot lane, taken down under the tower by Bomberhorn. And it's a 2-4-1 in favor of Stopwatch across the map.
The surprise pick Nautilus is coming up big into this game, and
Paulson, he might just get another solo kill. Hemo Plague, not enough. Credible with a slither of HP, makes it out.
He lives with 15 HP. You can see how much Paulson really wants to snowball this lead in the mid lane, and he does force Corki to base.
And look at that CS lead that is slowly mounting up, about 10. But with that kill, with Paulson now hitting the Proto Belt and working towards... Alright, he actually has the Dark Seal. He still doesn't have the boots. He's still waiting on that purchase. It is going to be pretty big. And on top of that, Galina and Unknown Swede have taken 4 plates in top lane.
That matters so much because the Renekton's already falling behind slowly. And it's going to detriment that even more now.
0-2 on Darkblack. Not a really significant CS deficit, so at the very least he has that going for him. As you will see, Galina, he's so close to completing his first item, which might be that... Or actually, no, the Clawfield doesn't go into the Black Cleaver, but he's still looking for that item and should be getting it fairly soon.
Something to mention here. Top lane, the gold difference is nearly 700 gold towards Aatrox, so that's actually massive. And then you look at bot lane, it's nearly a 600 gold lead towards the Kai'Sa, so the gold leads are shifting about on the map.
And Nargla is about to get ganked once again. Good flash, but also of Shadow still gets him through into the fear. Infernal Chains bring him back. He gets some healing in onto the Unknown Suite, and Galina doesn't get the kill. Darkblood able to survive.
You can see really it matters so much that the Hecarim actually eat a minion there, but they're still going for this.
Oh, round 2 in the top lane. Galina has got the wall under depth charge finishes of Unknown Suite. That might be the turnaround that Stopwatch won. And Darkblood gets the second kill. That's a 2-4-0 in favor of the Stopwatch boys in the top lane.
This Nautilus pick is doing absolute work this game. He's falling behind on CS, but it doesn't matter. He is being so proactive on this map. He's making so much happen for his team. And you can see how much this pick matters to this team.
Oh, good hook onto Vanguard. However, Gazo was here to block with his Unbreakable as Bomberhorn was definitely eyeing out that advantage. Now Chains of Corruption coming in onto the Kaiser. Ignite is down as well. The knockup with the Glacial Visual and Vanguard getting the kill 2 versus 2. Great play from CBA's bot lane.
You can see the ward was placed straight onto that Lantern, so she couldn't take it straight away. And just a really good trigger pull by Vayne. So it's just really well played.
And Herald picked up by Live in Limbo. He now might be cut out of position, good dredge line away, but 1 versus 3, you have to imagine there isn't a lot he can do. Titan's Wrath just to buy some extra seconds, and he is going to drop a big shot, a medium-sized shutdown going over to Paulson.
You say medium-sized, but this matters so much in this mid lane. There's nearly a 1k goal difference in mid lane, and that Vladimir is going to snowball out of control. It's going to be very hard to stop this guy.
Definitely 2-0-0. Protobell already completed. And now he's just going to die. Credible, Ignite down, Hemoplague. There's nothing Corki can do. And Paulson with another solo kill onto Credible.
This is what happens. This is what happens when Vlad gets ahead. If you do not stop this guy, he will take over the game. And right now, I don't know who can stop him. It's going to be very hard to shut down this Vladimir.
Talking about shutting down, Bomberhorn was one of the only people who was ahead in the lane, and Unknown Suite trying to jump in onto him with that Ignite. Oh my goodness! Bomberhorn nearly getting enough in onto Unknown Suite.
The Kaiser passive with the tower shot on top nearly gets the kill there, and that would have been a massive turnaround by Bomberhorn, considering you might have thought he would have been dead there.
Definitely, and this Kai'Sa, last time we saw the Manamune, it wasn't stacked that early, but now it has been there for a while, and it is only 250, but maybe we could see something more. Paulson, now 1 versus 4 in the melee. He's trying to defend against the Herald drops, there isn't a minion wave, but the first tower picked up by Stopwatch, that is a good rotation into mid lane.
This is a really smart move by Stopwatch. I originally thought they was going to Herald and go for the Dragon, but instead they Herald, they commit to the Herald, they open up the map in mid, which just makes that Vlad more susceptible to ganks.
And the Cloud Drake is on the map. I'm pretty sure Stopwatch will be happy with securing the objective for themselves. And Nautilus jungle was definitely something that the Twitch chat wasn't sure about. I had my own doubts as well. Now though, Live in Limbo, he has 100% kill participation for his team, and he's looking for a play in the bowling. Yappy forced to flash out, have a depth charge down onto Vanguard, flash forward, he tries to secure the CC. Vanguard still kiting back though, still very much alive, and here comes Unknown Suite on this Hecarim. Good Lantern away to safety, but Bomberhorn is 200 HP, and Vanguard just takes him out with a single auto attack. Now Live in Limbo, he might have bitten off more than he can chew. He cannot take the other Lantern, and Vanguard gets a double kill in the bot lane.
It was a really good collapse by CBA there. You could see the Vlad was moving down and the Hecarim sweeps around, but we've got more action.
Yeah, Jumpy is going to get the 1 versus 4 on Thresh. Nothing at all that you can do, and this is the 4th kill onto Paulson, and we just played Stopwatch for a good rotations, but CBA, they completely cancel out its effects.
Very much so. The counter gank was just so deadly there, and it's just making it even harder for Stopwatch to do anything. They opened up the mid lane, but what can they do with it?
They are 3,000 gold in the deficit, and let's think about who is realistically going to carry. Because if you look at CBA, Paulson and Vanguard, clear favorites for that, and even then Galina isn't doing too poorly, but I cannot really find anyone. Bomberhorn, I guess, 1, 2, and 2, he's got the 1 item. He will be having some damage, but he cannot square up against his opposition.
You see, all Galina has to do here is just go even in top. If nothing happens in top, which right now nothing is, there's nothing they can really do, because Corki is so far behind the Vladimir, and he's the one who you'd want to stop the Vladimir, the Corki. But he's so far behind, it's just become near impossible for him.
And even see Credible, he's trying to go for the Triforce as soon as possible. He could have gone for the Hex Drinker and made sure he doesn't die a lot, but then his damage would have been so delayed that Stopwatch would probably have no hope even at minute 30. If that was the case. Instead, they are going in for the ball lane. They are still answering with objectives, so they aren't completely out of it just yet.
The main hope for Stopwatch here, in my opinion,
is Credible not dying. That's not going to happen.
No, he's definitely dead here. I think the main thing they can try is just try to get like Kaiser to 2 items and see what they can do with it. Because they do have a lot of CC. If they can work around it, they might be able to work back in this, but CBA are pushing their leads really well.
And Credible has finished the Triforce. Usually a big spike that you talk about when Corki is in game, but it is hit at 18 minutes and it is just dwarfed by how ahead Paulson and Vaingold are. The 2 carries from last split stepping up in the first game for CBA as an engage coming into the top lane. Paulson is already dominating Unknown Sweet, going into the backline. Bomberhorn trying to do whatever he can to survive. That's already the 2nd kill. Vaingold, he's taking the turret shots, 100 HP and dropping, but he will be safe enough, and CBA with another pair of kills. They're just extending their lead more and more with every engagement.
You can see how clean CBA's rotations are.
Oh, that's a good hook from Yappy and gives over the kill to Credible.
That's what they need. They need these kills. They need these picks as much as they can get. But you could see what I was talking about, the rotation. They all move around the top together in like one move. And that's the way CBA will play. They will always move together like around.
Oh,
now we have another pick.
Trouble. Galena looking for it. Yappy's still alive, but the Darkin Blade is going to smite him down. That's a good interrupt on the Valkyrie as the Depth Charge is coming through. Leaving Limbo trying to help out his mid laner. They force the Resurrect, but not a whole lot more as Paulson has joined the fray, and Stopwatch, they're forced to go back.
Aatrox is at that 30% CDR point, so he is at his big power spike. So there's a lot to consider right now, and the main thing, which is really scary, we have Rabadons on Paulson. We have Vladimir fully online, ready to one-shot people.
The only thing he could have wished for was an Infernal Dragon, but I don't think CBA are too unhappy about it. Paulson, he's just stepping up. CBA are looking to extend their success into the 2nd split, and with their opening game, they are doing exactly that. It looks as if nothing has changed. The new challengers from Stopwatch, at least in the first week, not yet able to stand from what we are seeing.
I think if Stopwatch wanted more of a way to fight this, they should have drafted a different top lane pick here. The Renekton was a good idea, but it was shut down too easily by Sweet. So
that's a good dredge line. Oh, Vaingold, he's just locked up with the CC shut down over to Credible. I think Stopwatch might have heard me and they're like, dude, we're not out of it. We still have the insane pick potential. Another hook from Yappy. The Summon to Gas, he throws down the Glacial Fissure. However, look at Bomberhorn. He has to flash over the wall, ignited down. And can Stopwatch actually win this fight? Paulson is go like, look at his HP. He still is not even threatened as Galena comes up huge. He lands the chains onto Bomberhorn. That's a double kill for the Angels, and it looked good for Stopwatch at the beginning. But CBA turned it around.
So it was a good pick. And then it just led into overcommit, because the Vladimir was coming up, and then the Vladimir gets the perfect flank, and the Aatrox demands so much presence too, and just as soon as that Aatrox gets that one reset, you're not getting away. That movement speed refresh is massive.
Yappy is going to be sitting behind that pit, but what can he do? Baron on 5,000, and the steal is all but impossible. Still no smite on Unknown Sweet for about a few seconds as Credible comes in with the package. He's trying to zone away the members of CBA. This could turn really badly. That's a double kill already. Corki though is going to get shut down. The Baron is interrupted. Hook goes wide from Yappy. And CBA, they do not get the Baron.
This is actually so important that the Corki did this. Even though he died, that trade is so worth it. It stops the Baron. It stops the game falling completely out of their hands. With the Baron not being taken, it just allows them to come back. It allows them to stall. It allows them to try get these picks, what they've been looking for this game.
And they got the 2nd item on Bomberhorn. Credible also looking for what seems to be an Infinity Edge. And the Thresh Nautilus duo is so potent, because once you land the first CC, you just cannot do a damn thing. But they still have the same problems. Who's going to answer to a Raven and Deathcap, 10 stack Magi, Protobelt 8-0 and 2 Vladimir.
I would have liked to see more anti-healing from Stopwatch here. Right now, we've only got one item, which is on that Corki. You can't expect that Corki to be hitting Aatrox, Hecarim, Vlad, and Vanguard on the Varus. So I really want to see more anti-healing from them.
Yeah, and so far they aren't really looking for those items just yet. And we're gonna see if they are coming in the near future. Meanwhile, the standard Baron Dance has been initiated yet again, but Stopwatch are at a teleport disadvantage, at least in terms of the top lane matchup. They could send Credible to try and deal with Galina, because he does have the TP, but so far Darkblight is tasked with clearing the waves, and he cannot join the fight.
The thing to note here, Kai'Sa is 140 mana from her Mana Moon. And as soon as she gets that, she will do a lot of damage, so...
Alright, Baron is starting, and leaving Limbo, he doesn't have any way to get in the pit. He's a Nautilus, he is a Flash or a Blastco, neither of which are available. Instead, they're trying to get the pick in onto Galina Optimista, who is sitting on that Aatrox in the fight with Warlander is Pom. If he gets one shot out, that could be big, but he doesn't. Instead, he has dropped the Baron over to actually CBA. Credible and Bomber still trying to do the damage, but instead, Vanguard, he picks up the carry, and Paulsen in the backline is legendary. CBA are sweeping through Stopwatch, and they get an ace in trade for 1 kill.
Vanguard is completely untouched in the team fight. Vlad gets another perfect flank. They just can't stop this guy. They can't stop him flanking their team. And I think it's very optimistic to commit onto the Aatrox there. They thought they had a really good pick, but they had no vision of that Vladimir.
The pick itself, I feel like was one of the best things that Stopwatch could have done, but you just cannot stop Paulsen. 24 stacks on the Magi's, 24 minutes on the clock. The base and mid lane inhibitor are broken, and CBA looking for a commanding game 1 win, reminding why they are the defending SQ1 champions.
And now Vladimir has that Zhonya's. It's just made him even more harder to kill.
Hook from Yappy, just not quite there, but it was a good try.
Now is the question of what can Stopwatch do. It looks like it's completely out of their hands right now, because it's going to be very hard to stop the siege of CBA, because mid's naturally going to push. They're going to look for someone in the side lane and just dive them. It's going to be very hard to stop that.
And you mentioned what Paulsen will be doing in those fights, where he jumps in, he draws attention, and uses the pull, uses the Zhonya's, which now is completed. 3 items and a nearly fully stacked Magi's. How much AP does Paulsen have, out of curiosity? Alright, do you want to guess, Varys, or did you look already?
I have already looked. I
Alright.
kept Paulsen clicked on, and he has a lot of AP. He has 670 AP, and that is just really potent. And then you consider when his Q is fully charged up, that's going to do even more damage.
It's going to Chang and Bomber Hunt, alright. Vanguard goes on a killing spree as he is able to find that pick with the Chains of Corruption. Now, Unknown Sweet is going to be the target. He uses the ultimate away over the wall. Just 200 HP. He's going to drop it. That's a good cooldown to Vanguard, but there is simply no follow-up. Credible looking to do what he can, trying to chunk that Brom down. Another Death Sentence connects onto Gyazo. Galina jumping over, but here comes Paulsen. Here goes the Vladimir. The Protobelt forward forces the flash away from Credible. And Vanguard snipes him with the piercing arrow. CBA get both of the carries. They could be looking to break another inhibitor.
You can see just the presence Paulsen demands instantly. Just a Protobelt is enough just to force a flash. And you can see, unlucky that the Kai'Sa did channel her upgrade in the middle of the lane, and because of that she was caught for it. Right now CBA are looking for the end, I think.
I think they very much are. Still 20 seconds on Credible. Hemoplague was thrown down from Paulsen to try and zone away. Look at how much healing that man has. The Baron buff still very much on members of CBA. They are looking for that first Nexus tower, and they find it. Dominus from Darkla is trying to zone them off. He's trying to buy his team time. Credible will be coming up. The second Nexus tower already 1/3 of its health, and Paulsen tries to go in on a rampage of kills. He pops down into the pool. Credible picks up the package. The Nexus not yet exposed, and here comes Unknown Sweet from that side. And Stopwatch, they're just stuck in base. Paulsen is legendary. However, Vanguard is going to get shut down. Paulsen still full HP. This guy just has insane healing. W1 trying to go like he's going for the assassination. Can't give it the hero. The pull is forced, and Andal Street picked up the kill. This will be CBA cleaning up Stopwatch, and they are going to take their first win in the week 1.
You could see just that Vlad was impossible to kill. They had one anti-healing item. I need to emphasize on this. You need more anti-healing. Corki is single target. You cannot have one single target anti-healing item against a Vladimir, an Aatrox, a Hecarim, a Varus. It's just too overlooked.
It is, and Paulson popped off 1109. Let's just take a look at how much damage this guy dealt. So remember last time, we had a 37-minute game, and McFreeze did 24,000 damage on in a 37 minutes. And now you can tell how much Paulson did.
We have 27 minutes, which is a lot less than the first game we just had, with 37k damage on that Vladimir. The next closest in that game was 25k. So it just shows how much this Vladimir did snowball after getting that solo kill.
And it shows you how much CBA are still a formidable threat. Of course, this is only week 1. This is the only game we have seen from Stopwatch. So it is a bit unfair to judge the whole feeling of the entire league from this game. But CBA doesn't seem like they have let down their expectations at all. They have came in and did exactly what most people thought they will.
I don't think Stopwatch have much to be disappointed about. Their early game was really proactive and good. If they work towards this and work around that a bit more, the Nautilus caught a lot of people off surprise, and not a lot of people knew what to do around it, and took CBA a while, but as soon as they got to the mid game, they sort of took over entirely. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play later in the split.
Definitely will be, but guys, we should be wrapping up unless Varys, do you have anything else to add at the end?
I've got nothing else to add today. I think we had some very good games and very nice fights to watch.
Well then, guys, please do follow us on Twitch, on Twitter. Also join our Discord, and we will have some matches tomorrow. I don't think I can get the caster schedule up anytime soon, but it is available on those websites that I have just mentioned. So if you go and follow there, you will be able to see who's playing. So join us at 19 Central European Summer Time. Also, wait, hold on. Oh yes, something to mention also exciting for this split, of course, that the prize pool is now doubled, so I definitely would want to tune into that competition. But for me and Varys, that is going to be a good night for tonight.
Before that, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
We need to mention the MVP of this game.
Oh yes!
And I think it's pretty clear who this was, because it is the Vladimir pick. The Vladimir Paulson. And he just took over this in-game entirely. He got the solo kill, like we mentioned. And he just snowballed the game out of control, and no one could deal with this guy.
Yeah, I'm not going to add anything else. That was the Paulson, so now properly, we're going to see you tomorrow.